Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new episode, a brand new season of The Wrassingh Show. And today we are here with the Midas of pro wrestling because whatever he touches becomes gold. We're very excited to welcome back to the show the founder of PCW Ultra, Mr. Josef Samael. I've been waiting for this day so eagerly since last year. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, AJ. It's always a great time, and you're one of the most informed interviewers that I've ever worked with, and it's always my pleasure.
You're just so kind. Thank you so much, sir. Always a pleasure having you here. You're looking great. You're looking fantastic. And I'd like to tell all of our viewers right now that this is our part 2 of the interview with Mr. Josef Samael. Part 1 was recorded last year. So if you'd like to know the basics of PCW Ultra, PCW Ultra 101, click the button at the top, because tonight we're in the advanced class of PCW Ultra. We're here to talk about the history that the promotion is about to be making in just a week from now. PCW Ultra will be the first promotion ever to run a wrestling show at the world-famous Rose Bowl Stadium in the stadium's 110-year history. Mr. Josef Samael, that's got to be feeling incredible, right?
Yeah, it's there's always these wonderful milestones that happen with me in my career that I'm just so grateful for, and it's just really a victory for our whole team. We don't really pay attention to the trends and the fads, and that we just do professional wrestling, and we just do professional wrestling at the highest level that we can possibly do it. And when the Rose Bowl comes to you and UCLA, and they want you to run a show, to have your company be the first show, the first professional wrestling event at the legendary Rose Bowl, I mean, you can only it's crazy. And I'm very humbled, very grateful, and I love that my team gets to experience it with me, and I love that I get to share the wealth, and I hope the fans enjoy the show. I know they will.
It's incredible. And you very rightly said, PCW Ultra does not follow the trend. And that's why the promotion just continues to make history. Rose Bowl is no joke. The world knows the name Rose Bowl. You've got to be having some pre-game butterflies head into this big event, right? I mean, how does it feel getting your name engraved in the history books forever?
I'm pretty good. No real butterflies. I just hope everybody gets there on time. It's an early show. The professional wrestler is a night owl, and so trying to get everybody to the actual grounds at 8:30 in the morning is the only thing that kind of I have a little bit of butterflies about. But the show itself, our performers are some of the best in the world. Our staff and our team is a well-oiled machine. So I'm not really concerned with running the show. It's just everybody getting there on time. I don't want these guys to miss and these gals to miss an opportunity. And I definitely want to stick to a schedule. So butterflies are just with the logistics of everything. Yeah,
that's right. I was actually going to ask you about that, because usually pro wrestling happens late at night or in the evenings. This one is an early show. The show itself, PCW Ultra show, begins at about 10:45 in the morning, and you of course have to get there early. So as far as the logistics are concerned, what's the timing like? Because I believe 12 p.m. is when the actual football match begins. So how much time will you have in the morning to set up the ring, to set up the stage for PCW Ultra, and how long will you have to wrap it up after the match?
Well, we'll have staff there really, really early in the morning. I like to always be prepared. So, until the ring is set up and all the wrestlers are there, I'm kind of going to be, and I won't be at ease. So we'll probably get there about maybe 2, 3 in the morning, and just get everything to make sure all I's are dotted, all T's are crossed, and there's no room for error. and then it's just on the wrestlers getting there. The great saving grace of the whole thing is they want to wrestle at the Rose Bowl, so you can count on them being there as far as that's concerned. They don't want to miss this show. It's an incredible honor to wrestle in these. As wrestlers, and I'm not going to be wrestling on the show, which is crazy. You think as the promoter, I would put myself on so I could say I wrestled there, but as performers, there's these once in a lifetime shows or these shows that we can talk, to our friends and boast and brag about at a party. Oh, I wrestled here once before. And the Rose Bowl is certainly one of those shows. So I'm pretty confident everybody's going to be there on time. And then UCLA has been so gracious to, give us all a big old free ride to the show, and we get to watch the game and full VIP and all that. So that's going to be really fun. And it's going to be a great experience and a great chance for a bonding moment, camaraderie, everybody kind of catching a victory together. And I just wish I could take everybody, it's just, the show will be an hour and change. It won't be a long show. There'll be no breaks, no intermission. So it'll just be wrestling, and try to pump as much in there as we possibly can, just so everybody can kind of get a shot within the constraints of what we have to accomplish. And we're just trying to spread the love as much as we can,
Incredible. Last time that we were talking about how good things happen to good people. And indeed, this is very, very good. I would like to ask you, have you been to the Rose Bowl ever before as a fan to watch one of the games? Did you ever in the back of your mind think that one day you'd like to do a show at the Rose Bowl?
No to all of that.
Wow.
I'm not a huge sports fan. I mean, I'll watch football. I'll watch, football casually. I've never been to the Rose Bowl. I'm more of a boxing fan. As far as sports is concerned, more combat sports. But I'm incredibly excited. I do love football. I'm not a huge fan. I don't follow it, but it's definitely got me jazzed, and I am super excited to be there for sure, and honored. I keep saying that, but I am. I'm very grateful that they came to us.
That's right.
And it's a testament to the team.
So you say they came to you. So they approached you. You did not approach them. They were the ones who came to PCW Ultra and said, "We want you at the show." Is that right?
Yeah, and that's all you can really hope for. It's just again, a testament to the team and the way we do business and the fan experience that I've always been just so in tune with. And people from the athletic department there have attended our shows, and they had a great time, and they enjoyed the atmosphere, and they said, "Hey, we want this in the Rose Bowl." And that's really what it's all about for me. That's really fantastic. That proves to me that we're doing the right thing the right way. Absolutely. And performing business like gentlemen in a professional manner, and that's really all I've ever tried to do. And when it pays off in dividends, it's a really great feeling.
That's no surprise. It's just honest work that you put into PCW Ultra. And if you look at the quality of the shows, I mean, you've got everybody on the roster on those shows. You talk about Karrion Kross, talk about Jacob Fatu, the Warbees, Lindsay Dorado, Booker T. I mean, Terry Funk, the list goes on and on. PCW delivers quality, delivers class every single time they put on the show. So I'm not surprised that all of this is now happening. Now, you mentioned that you're not the biggest football fan. And if you talk about the, football fans, if you talk about the sports fan in general, a lot of times, unfortunately, you'll see that they brush off pro wrestling as an actual sport, that don't pay much attention to pro wrestling because, they don't think it's legit. So how do you feel has the fan reaction been ever since this announcement has been made that the PCW Ultra pre-game is going to happen at the show? Has the pre-show announcement helped the ticket sales of the show at all?
Yeah, I mean, the reaction's been shock. The fans are like, "Oh my God!"
That's right.
The phone calls I've been getting, the emails I've been getting, just the congratulations. it's shock. I mean, it's not something that you come across every day. You don't see professional wrestling companies, especially on the independent level.
Yeah,
We like to think of ourselves as the upper echelon of independent professional wrestling. We offer a very, very professional product. But still,
absolutely.
unless you're an AEW or a WWE, you don't see these large venues. And that's not it. We've got a huge October. I'm partnered
Yep.
up with a wonderful company in the Pacific Northwest that everybody knows called Defy. And now that I'm here in the Pacific Northwest, I'm partnered up with them and even tighter than normal. And we've got a huge show on the 13th, and we're going to be at the Yakima Sundome. And these are just, I mean, to have shows like this once in a lifetime is amazing, but to have them week after week is absolutely crazy. So yeah, Yakima Sundome on the 13th of October, and that's going to be insane. It's the who's who of Lucha Libre is going to be there. We've got just to go down the list, we've got Vikingo, Ultimo Dragon, Juventud Guerrera, and just a host of others. So it's going to be a lot of legends. We're putting it. It's a Defy show, but it's under the Primo Lucha brand. The Primo Lucha brand is going to be debuting at the Sundome in Yakima. Hopefully, we return. And we're hoping for a really great turnout there as well, and trying to continue on this path of having these big giant blockbuster shows, when we can and when it works out, and then continuing with our shows at the Memorial Hall and Washington Hall and these wonderful professional wrestling buildings that they're a character on their own in our respective companies. These buildings are just such wonderful places that it just, I don't think people that run professional wrestling really put much into where they run. And that's something that I've always done, is making sure that I have a wrestling building that people feel an atmosphere, that people remember, that people make memories at. And Memorial Hall and which we've dubbed the Ultratorium, and obviously Washington Hall in Seattle are two of the greatest wrestling buildings in the entire nation, if not the world.
Incredible. I often tell people that PCW Ultra is the WWE of pro wrestling, because, look at how professional you are, paying attention to every minute detail, not just caring about what goes down in the ring, but also where it all takes place. It shows pure professionalism, even the graphics and everything, incredible. And the October, of course, is going to be a very busy month for PCW Ultra. But before we get to that, I just have one more question about Rose Bowl. Can we expect any of the UCLA or Washington State athletes to get involved in the wrestling bouts?
I don't know about that. Or they got a game, directly after. I think they're
That's
probably,
right.
It's so close. Maybe if we had a little bit more of a gap, but I mean, I'd hate to be responsible for a quarterback taking a brain buster or something like that, and everybody hot at me, from the UCL, not having their quarterback or vice versa. I don't want to be the villain that takes out Washington State, so. Probably
right.
not, but maybe at a different time. Maybe when we return, who knows?
I look forward to that. And I said you are the middays of pro wrestling. And another thing that you've touched is the world of streaming with Remix.tv, where fans can watch wrestling shows from top independent promotions such as Ultra, Defy itself, Demand Lucha for free. For free is the crazy part. I mean, tell us about the idea behind Remix.
So Remix is basically another extension of the partnership between Defy and Ultra. Jim Perry and I are the founders of Remix. Jim obviously owns Defy, unless you don't know that. He's a great friend of mine. We've been great friends for many years. And we have always we have always had the riddle of how do we make our content valuable. So we have to tape it. It'd be crazy not to have your library. You have to put all this money into taping this, but it never was quite giving us the return that we had hoped for. And
Okay.
this is on an independent level. That's that really uh, is correlated with the health of the company. You're putting out all this money to record something. You want to at least make your money back, or at least hopefully profit. This way you can continue to move forward, and it makes sense. Putting all this together. So we had worked with a company called Pluto TV, and Pluto TV they had a fast channel, and basically it was a linear channel that wrestling would just pop up on, and we were getting paid through the ads.
Okay.
And we finally found a place to where we could make the money and not have our content behind a paywall, because there's so many choices. I mean, you can go on YouTube and there's every single wrestling match that's ever happened on there. So the competition's great. So we decided to create our own once Pluto TV stopped. They put a halt to all wrestling content. So we said, you know what? Let's do it ourselves. And it's a crazy, crazy idea. And we hooked up with this company, and before we knew it, 3 months later, we were having a launch, and we had a soft launch purposefully, just trying to get all of our ducks in a row and just trying to run this thing and create the avenues and figure out, how everything's going to hit and how the car is going to run and how we're going to get to our destination. And we figured it out, and it's working perfectly. And the platform is slick. I mean, it is absolutely gorgeous, and that's testament to StreamStack, our partners there. And there's some huge announcements that I cannot disclose right now, but there's some huge announcements coming. And, in under 6 months' time, we've taken a phone call with an idea and turned this into something that is just absolutely spectacular. And it's going to help a lot of people, and it's going to be a really great destination. And the wrestling fans are going to benefit tremendously because, like you said, it's 100% free. It's ad driven. And, we've even gone so far. You talk about how, picking and choosing venues and stuff like that for professional wrestling. We've even gone so far as to cultivate the commercial breaks. I mean, we don't want the commercial breaks to come in the middle of a finish and things like that. So we've gone the extra mile for a wonderful experience for our fans. Again, always, very in tune to the fan experience. And we've gone and went above and beyond. And this is just the very beginning. There's going to be so much added to this. There's going to be so many companies added to this. There's going to be so much content added to this, and there's going to be a lot of availability. And it's going to happen very soon. And we're just really excited. So Remix, and that's WREMIX.tv. And it's linked to PCWUltra.com. It's linked to Defy and all of our socials. And you could really watch our stuff from anywhere in the entire world. And pretty soon there'll be live streaming. But as of right now, we're doing live world premieres every Thursday. And, tune in and see what we're doing and enjoy it. It's free, and it's our gift to you.
You have my eyebrow raised when you said live streaming. My eyebrows raised because that is the part that I've been, looking for the most. Because Remix has it all. It has all the great wrestling available for free. I use the website myself. I mean, really, no registrations, no downloads, no signups, no secret payments involved. It's all free. It's all in HD. So it's incredible. But you mentioned live streaming. So do you plan on streaming PCW Ultra shows and Defy shows live on the platform in the future?
Yes, absolutely. So that's the plan. Again, we were just trying to get all of the avenues built. We were trying to get everything working. Does the tape come there? Can we count on them? Do they do the graphics on the right time? Does it get uploaded right? Do we get this and that? And once we got our rhythm and we've got everything rocking and rolling, because I mean, that's another thing is whenever you're building something, if you build it on a weak foundation, it'll come down like a deck of cards. So yes. I've always been a huge believer in doing it the right way. And I don't care if it takes time. It's going to take way more time to constantly rebuild it if it keeps falling down. So I want to build these things properly. I want to put the right people in place, the right professionals. I want the right equipment. I want everything to to be proper and correct. And then we can have the skeleton built, and then we can constantly build on it, and then it can get better and better and better. You never want to start doing something and then see a backwards momentum. The fans, they recognize it quickly. So if you have a slow and steady approach and you constantly build and you constantly get better, from the fans' perspective, it's always building. It's always, wow, look what they're doing now. Wow, look what they've added. Oh, I didn't like that. I'm glad they got rid of it. Oh, now this is new. And they see a constant progression. It is a good look, where a backwards momentum, backwards is not a good look. You look like you're failing. You look like you're trying to get it together. People start to lose interest. Nobody wants to back a loser. Everybody wants to back a winner. So there is a lot of attention to detail. There is a lot of attention to staff and who is the right person in place to accomplish what we need. So we're not scared to put to assemble a wonderful staff. Like, we're not scared to put the right people instead of spreading ourselves super thin. We want to make sure that these things run properly and the experts are in line or involved.
I've got to say, this right here, I believe, is the key to your success and PCW Ultra success. The attention to details. You blew me away by what you just said. I mean, you pay attention to every minute details. Let it be, of course, where you run the venues. Let it be the advertisements, where they're placed during the programming, your equipments. That right there is the key to success. You don't want to hurry up and push something the fans' way for it to crumble down a few months later. You want it to be a solid program, solid content that goes out and it runs and it's successful and people enjoy it to the fullest. That is incredible, and I believe that is literally the key to your success. I'm very excited, and with how well Remix has been going with added live streaming, I can only imagine this could be the next fight, or maybe perhaps even better than fight in the future. Would you be open to having more promotions on the platform in the future?
Yeah, the goal is to have more promotions and more content that we create. So the goal is to create. This is in our eyes, this is a network. So we're basically programming it like a network. And as of right now, we're just getting our ducks in a row, but we're programming this thing as a network. And the ideas that we have, although we're not the type of people that we boast, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Once the feet hit the ground, then you're there. So once all of that, I mean, obviously we're gravitating towards live streaming. That's an obvious thing. That's the way the business is. You have to do live streaming. You want the fans to get these things instantly. We're in a culture where everybody needs instant gratification, and that's something we want to give. We're thinking about creating a live streaming platform, and then in addition, creating a more of a criterion collection to where something, again, all these ideas are, we try to put a new coat of paint on everything and try to do things our way, differently and interesting, and not try to follow. Wrestling always tends to be a monkey see, monkey do business. And I grew up in wrestling. I got in the business. I'm in my 26th year now. So I got in the business in the 90s. And when I broke in the business, you never wanted to be like anyone else. You always wanted to be different. And over the last decade, it seems like everybody's kind of gravitating towards, this is the model of independent wrestling. You have to do it this way. And then the fans see it and they go, oh yeah, that's just like that. That's good too. And we try to, just do things a little bit differently. We try to, we need to make it exciting for ourselves too. You got to understand, we're in the bubble 24/7. So we get bored, and we don't want to do the same things that everybody does. And we don't want to do the same things that we've been doing. We want to pop ourselves. We want to get excited about it too, because if we're excited, then the passion's going to shine through, and then the fans are going to get excited because it's coming from a place of excitement. It's coming from, a place where we're being very creative, and that's important to the professional wrestling business. Creativity is very important. So we're trying to do it to the best of our ability. However, you mentioned Terry Funk, who, we just lost Terry. He was a wonderful, wonderful man. We're still paying attention to the architects of our business like Terry Funk. We're still paying attention to the architects of our business like Kevin Sullivan, the Bruiser Brodies, the Eddie Grahams, the Vince McMahons even. And we're trying to not reinvent the wheel. We're trying to put our spin on it, but we're still paying attention to what it is that we do, and a tribute to the architects of this business, because Terry Funk wasn't wrong. And neither was Eddie Graham. They weren't wrong. They did it right, and where they left a formula for us. We'd be fools not to use it.
It makes me so happy. I mean, that makes me really happy. I'm excited about the future of PCW Ultra and Remix. Not only do you want to give the fans something new, but you also want to stay true to the roots. And that is something you don't always often get to see, right? Either people want to be, just like you said, monkey follow monkey. They want to be a sheep and they want to follow the same stuff, or they want to do something different altogether. What you just said right there was very beautiful. You want to give credit where credit's due. You want to stay true to the roots, but also give something to the fans that's new, that's fresh, and that's just out of the box. Incredible. Yeah, I love that.
I think that's where professional wrestling needs to be. It needs this idea of, throwing dirt on top of the old school is absolutely ludicrous. It's just silly. It's like it would be like, throwing, dirt on Henry Ford's ideas and saying, we're not going to have an automobile like that. We're going to build, and we're going to, do it completely different. It's like, you don't want to reinvent the wheel. You just want to add to it. You want to add the modern creativity. You want to add the modern conveniences, what they didn't know we had, So, always hat tip to the old school, without a doubt, 100%. If it wasn't for the old school, none of us would be here.
Absolutely not. You're right. And look at wrestling now. The beauty of wrestling is that it connects people of different cultures, religions, places. Look at us right here, right? US, India, we're here talking about this crazy world and crazy art of pro wrestling. And that right there is the beauty of pro wrestling. I'm very excited about the future of PCW Ultra and Remix for the fans. Once again, it is remix.tv. That's with the WREMIX.tv. That's where you get all the greatest wrestling content for free, and soon live as well. Very excited about that. It's crazy, once again, Joseph, talking about this past year, right? I mean, so much progress has been made. But you mentioned Terry Funk. And unfortunately, this past year, we have lost several of our gems as well. Terry Funk, Dan Masters, who yesterday itself, it was the first year. It's been 1 year since Dan Masters unfortunately passed away. What can you tell us about the voice of PCW Ultra, Dan Masters? I mean, his loss must have definitely left a big void in the promotion, right?
Yeah, without a doubt. And one of the things a lot of people don't know about Dan Masters is, I'm somebody who's very, very loyal, and I've known Dan Masters for years. I used to live in Florida and run wrestling in Florida, and I knew Dan. Dan was a staple in the Southeast wrestling scene, and I've known Dan for a long, long, long time, throughout my entire career. And Dan was around even longer than I was, and you never know it by his youthful looks. And we'd always
no.
He looked like he was 25, and he was, and so. I knew Dan for a long, long time. And when I started in California, I realized Dan was living here as well. Well, when I was living there, I'm in Oregon now, I still forget.
Right.
But I noticed that Dan was living there as well. And me and him linked up, and Dan started working with me straight off. And again, I'm somebody that is very loyal, and I stick with guys that stick with me, and people that do a good job. And so I had Dan on every single show, and Dan was a crazy man. I mean, he was a party animal. He was a crazy man, and he enjoyed and loved life. He would travel all the time. He'd always be somewhere new and fresh. And unfortunately, he didn't come back from his last trip, and we miss him dearly. We've had tributes to Dan. I mean, we couldn't thank him enough. I mean, we've done these small little things to tell him, you know, how much we miss him and love him and appreciated him. But, you know, there's really, you know, it's too big of a thing to put into words. And we certainly miss him. Yesterday was a year since we got the news, and yeah, it's you know, it's a bummer. You know, what are you going to do or say? You can't really do or say anything. And then Terry, you know, we all knew Terry had lived his best life, and we knew that, you know, once Miss Vicky passed away, that Terry was on a steady decline, and you know, it was a shame. But you know, I used to speak with Terry often on the phone, and hearing him sometimes where, you know, he'd call me up in the morning and joke with me, and then, you know, by 6 o'clock at night he'd call me back, and he'd who is this again, you know, and he kind of was, you know, didn't really know what he was doing or where he was at. So Terry being gone, it's okay in my book. You know, he's with Miss Vicky again, and everything, and he was having a rough time at the end, and but we'll certainly miss him. I mean, selfishly getting a phone call and looking at it and seeing Terry Funk was one of the greatest joys of my life. I'm not going to lie, you know, and having him give me knowledge, and having him accept my calls, and having him call me and tell me things, and just talk about life, and just anything, talk about, you know, what he was drinking or eating at the time or something. It was just something that I never thought would happen in my life. You know, with these guys are idols. I don't have many idols in professional wrestling, but a guy like Bruiser Brody, a guy like Terry Funk, Kevin Sullivan, these guys are idols to me. And to be friends with Kevin, you know, and to be friends with Terry was just something that I don't think I'll ever take for granted, you know, and I'll certainly miss him. And that getting that phone call with that Terry Funk, you know, on there. Who's this? Did you butt dial me? And, you know, just the funny little things he'd say to me, and just, you know, I'm going to miss it, you know, and I'm definitely just happy that I got to call him a friend.
Yeah, I can tell how much Terry Funk meant to you. I remember last time we spoke as well, you told me that he always had an open line of communication with you. Really, the world misses Terry Funk as well as Dan Masters. I never had any personal interactions with Dan, but, you know, the news of his passing stunned me, as you know, Terry Funk's did, and still moves me, you know, whenever I think about Dan. You were right, you know, he really looked like he was in his 20s.
Yeah.
And when he told me that he's been around longer than you have, I was stunned. He really was truly a charming guy with a beautiful voice. Yeah, and I'll miss him for sure a lot. The world will miss them, that's for sure.
Dan was a big part of our look, you know. You know,
Yes.
you'd go to, you know, an indie wrestling show, and you would see like any, you know, announcer, and they'd be dressed however they'd be dressed, and Dan was dressed to the nines. He had a white jacket.
So right.
You know, he just gave a very professional
He
delivery,
He
and
did.
was very concerned with you know, his announcing, and he wanted to know everything that was happening, and, you know, he was just a pro, you know, and again, he was a, you know, the first person you saw when our show started was Dan, you know, and I didn't never take that for granted, and we just miss him dearly. But, you know, so is life, you know. It's a tragedy, you know, that he passed so early.
That's right.
But, you know, so
God bless. God bless. You're right. You're totally right. The first time that I watched a PCW Ultra show, the first person I looked at was Dan. And, you know, PCW Ultra had my attention that very moment, because usually you look at an independent promotion, you know, you'll see somebody with a, I don't know, a beanie on, or a sweatshirt on, and they're doing the announcing, you know. And then you have Dan, who, of course, sharp dressed man, great voice, and will forever be missed. That's for certain.
Well, I apologize. We always, you know, want to present to the casual fan. You know, I think so many times professional wrestling really gets in its own bubble, and thinks certain things are cool or this or that, but they don't take into consideration gaining new fans. And we always want to present to that casual fan and keep them. And there's so many families that come up to me at PCW Ultra shows, and they're just like, we came from this show and we've never missed one since, or we saw you in this town and then we found your website and came to all the shows. And so that's a testament of, the building blocks all in the right place and all the right staffing in the right place for, that experience, for when they walk into the door, how they're greeted by the ticket lady, how they're greeted by security, how they're ushered to their reserved seat, how the vendors around the building treat them, how the ring announcer and the staff and the, it's just a testament to all the people that are carefully picked to be involved. Yeah.
Beautiful, incredible. And I know that this October, when people walk into the Rose Bowl, a lot of people are going to be walking in football fans. But when they leave, a lot of them are going to be wrestling fans and football fans, thanks to PCW Ultra. And that is for certain. We were just talking about Terry Funk. We were talking about Dan. Unfortunately, a day after Terry, Bray also passed away. The news stunned the world. I'd just like to ask you if you ever had any personal interactions with Bray, or, what were your thoughts on Bray?
I've never had any personal interactions with Bray. One of the guys that trained me used to train, was the head trainer at Blackjack Mulligan School. So Barry Windham, and I've known certain people in that family. I'm older, so of course, the older people.
You don't look older.
But I thought that he was sometimes a misunderstood genius. I think he was very, very creative, as has been echoed by the entire community. Of course, everybody says now, and but I do think he was misunderstood in a lot of ways, and I think he's just going to be one of those guys that you're going to get what he did 10 years from now, 20 years from now. It's going to be the norm. He's going to be somebody that opened doors and created avenues that people are going to ride on and drive down. And I think, I just hope that his name will always be said in reverence. And I hope that his name will always be brought up as a creative force. I certainly enjoyed, I'm very old school, so some of his stuff you could imagine, some people would turn their nose at, but I didn't watch everything, but I certainly enjoyed the way he brought that old school into it, the way, like the taunts he would do, that when he'd spin backwards and all the things he did and the timing he had, but also that modern creativity, which we were already talking about prior. And I had a tremendous respect for him. I had a tremendous respect for his talent. I had a tremendous respect for his character work, his packaging of it all. Whether that was all him, whether that was the writers, whatever, I don't know, but the way he actually performed it, he was a very, very, very special performer. There's not that many performers that, when you look at wrestlers, and I always go to children, when I was, again, I'm an old guy, when I was a child growing up, you'd tell a kid who was a wrestling fan, do Ric Flair, and he'd go, woo, and he'd do Hulk Hogan, and he'd go like this, or do the Macho Man, oh yeah, and you could do Bray Wyatt, you know what I mean? Like, he's somebody that had his own style. It's almost like a singer when you hear a band or you hear a guitarist, and you can tell by the first note or the first word they say, you could tell who it is. He had a very signature sound. He had a very signature way he performed, so you knew it was him. Those are the superstars in our industry. These are not the superstars are not the people that do it like someone else, do it as good as somebody else. They're the ones that make you just zero in on them. You can't think of anything else but them when they're on there. You're the only person they see if there's that you see if there's 20 people on screen, and he was that type of a performer. He's a once in a lifetime performer, and it's a huge loss, for his family mainly, for his family, his friends mainly, and then obviously his fans and everybody that got to enjoy his art,
Very beautifully said, sir. Very beautifully said. I love that. And last year has really been truly crazy. Another crazy thing that actually happened last year was Karrion Kross. Now he showed up at PCW Ultra. He beat Tua Leona to become the #1 contender for the Ultra Heavyweight Championship, and then WWE picked him up. He got signed to the WWE. It was a total roller coaster of events. Can you tell us something about the whole thing from your perspective, from your point of view? I mean, him
Sure.
being the #1 contender and then getting signed to the WWE must have been something.
Yeah, so this is old hat to us. We're using the top performers in the industry. So
Right.
obviously this happens, and we obviously had a lot of plans for Karrion Kross. We were certainly happy with his professionalism. We were certainly happy with his performance, and he's an all around good person. So he fit what we do. He took the business seriously. He was punctual. He was above and beyond. We had worked with him once prior before, and as soon as we worked with him, he went. And then we worked with him a second time when he came back, and then he went again. So maybe we're his lucky charm. We don't know,
That's
but
right.
we were very happy for him, but obviously sad for us. But we were gearing towards Hammerstone versus Cross,
Mhm.
and that would have been a huge piece of business. um yeah, it's just something that our fans never got to see. That, who knows, never say never. It might happen in the future. You might see that on WrestleMania. You might see Hammerstone versus Cross one day on WrestleMania. You never know. But I'd like to see it in the PCW Ultra ring first.
Oh, me too. And one might argue that PCW Ultra actually booked Karrion Kross better than the WWE does. Would you also agree with that statement?
Well, maybe the W. So the short answer, let's say yes. But maybe that there's a lot of talent in WWE, and maybe there's a lot of lines getting crossed, and I'm not in the back, writing, so I can't say for certain what they do or don't do. And you know, it's it's interesting when you watch performers, and when they're on a path, and you can tell that they're on a path that a writer has come up with. And I always find it kind of booking a little hands off, in a
I see.
way to where it's like you almost, it's and again, I'll bring music back, or bring chefs, or somebody into this, is you want to put the ingredients down, and then see what the artist does with the ingredients. And then when you see what the artist is doing with the ingredients, then you can kind of zero them in and fine tune it,
That's right.
and kind of tailor fit it to what you're thinking. But you never want the talent, especially if they're a top talent in your company, you never want to make them do something that is against the grain. I don't think you're ever going to get the result you want. I mean, a lot of times I call it Fantasy Island. It's this Fantasy Island thing where people go, oh, this is going to happen. And you're like, well, why do you think that's going to happen? Oh, because I'm going to do it like bop, 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 bop. Okay, well, that piece doesn't look like it's going to fit there. This doesn't fit. So you kind of have to have this natural, organic thing, as the same time you have this control over it. So it's a very interesting job. And then you also have to take into consideration, on a completely separate note, you also have to take into consideration injury, travel. Car broke down, this happened, that happened, didn't make the flight, this guy
Yeah.
can't do this, contracts, he doesn't like him, they're gonna really fight, this is gonna happen, you can't put him with him, they'll turn into gremlins. you know
Right.
there's a lot of other factors. So it's a very people just walking up and saying, hey, I'm a booker. That's why you'll see me talking to Kevin Sullivan. You'll see me talking to Terry Funk. You'll see me talking to Mike Graham when he was alive. You'll see me talking to these these brains that were there or under the masters or were in a point of time where some of the greatest angles happen. I won't want to go talk to so-and-so about the super kick or this guy about that. I want to talk to somebody who's an architect about the hows, the whys, the whens, and really get a grasp on their process and how they do things. This way I can take a little something from that and put it into my tool bag and then say, oh, okay, well, in that scenario, Terry did that. And maybe it doesn't fit for me, but you know what? Because he did it that way, maybe I can look at it from this angle. Oh, wow, I didn't consider that, you know? So yeah, it's, I know I went off on a tangent, but yeah, so.
Beautiful. Just your creative genius and how you understand the business. That's what it shows. Incredible. And listening to you is really, for any wrestling fan or any wrestling enthusiast, is like listening to some good music, some Michael Jackson, you know, some Madonna, because that's right. It really is a creative genius.
Let's go with Clutch. Let's go with Clutch.
I like that. Even better. I like that. Beautiful. Incredible. Incredible. Now we were talking about, you know, of course, what happened last year. Another event that I just want to quickly address that happened last year because it has something to do with you. You have been a former NWA World Champion, and it's a very prestigious championship. You know, it's going up and down these days. Last year, in the past year, the NWA title was handed over from Nick Aldis to Tyrus, currently with EC3. As a former NWA champion, how do you feel is the championship and the promotion doing at the moment?
You know, I think the NWA has a great way of keeping itself in the news. And I think that has a lot to do with the high profile of their owner, Billy Corgan. I don't necessarily think that now I have just spoken about, you know, not worried about the fads and things like that. They certainly do not worry about the fads or what's hip or this. I do think that they're a little bit too far on that spectrum. If they kind of reeled that in a little bit, but you know, they're looking, if I had to look from the outside looking in, I would think that they're looking towards safety in booking. So I don't want to say that they're booking people that nobody else is booking. I don't want to be that strong about it, but they have their people that it's like, okay, it's almost like if you have three boys and they're all sitting down and they're all playing with Matchbox cars, and the two alpha guys got all the, you know, oh, these are the best cars, and then you're left with a couple of these other cars, and you're like, no, I could work with this. I got this. These are you guys don't want these cars? Fine. That's fine by me. I'm going to work with these cars and I'm going to do the best thing I can do. That's kind of the way I see what they're doing. If you're looking at it from a casual fan, nobody can deny that EC3 doesn't have the goods. I mean, nobody can deny that Tyrus didn't have a huge profile. So I understand the things that they're doing. I mean, their profile is very high. I understand some of the things they're doing. Again, I would have to be inside of the company, working day to day to really give you a definite, you know,
that's right.
But yeah, I think they're doing things their way, and I think it's almost like, and I always attribute things to music and cooking. It's like if you're a chef and you get handed these ingredients, okay, what are you going to do with them? It's like Iron Chef, right? You've got this stuff, make something with it, you know, and they're making something with what they have, you know. Now, are they a huge company? No. Are they on the upper echelon of the independents? Absolutely. They're in the argument.
That's for them.
So hats off to them and their crew and their staff, because their staff and their crew seems to be very loyal, you know. So
Sure.
Hats off to them for understanding that a foundation is very important. It's probably the most important thing.
That's a very wise answer, you know, incredible. Yeah, it was a beautiful answer. You know, usually if I'd asked this answer to somebody else, they would either give me a very negative or very positive answer. But you give me a very intelligent answer here that I absolutely agree with. It makes total sense to me. Now, since we're talking about
Yeah, I try to have a logical,
Yes.
thought process.
It's incredible. It's incredible. Now, since we're talking about champions, Jacob Fatu, currently a double champion at PCW Ultra, the world champion, as well as one half of the tag team championships, along with yourself. There's a lot of speculation right now that Jacob Fatu is going to the WWE. You know him better than anybody else. You hold the tag team championships with Jacob Fatu and the War Beast. Is there any truth to those rumors at the moment?
Well, I mean, if you look at the WWE and you see, all of his cousins are there.
Yes.
I mean, there's obviously a spot at the table for him. And that's really up to God and up to fate and up to Jacob and up to everybody involved. I'm going to say this because I don't want to say too much about. I don't like to talk about things that haven't happened or or aren't going to happen or that I don't know too much about. But I will say this. Jacob Fatu belongs on television every week. Jacob Fatu is, I don't know if even Jacob Fatu knows it, but Jacob Fatu is one of the greatest wrestling performers I think we've ever seen. And I know that that's a very, very grand statement. And I stand behind it. I mean, I've been next to this guy on multiple occasions. I've been with him in the poke restaurant. I've been with him at a Italian pizza spot in New York. I've been with him in a arena. And people gravitate towards him. He's got a magnetism and a charisma that is unmatched. He's a superstar. And then you throw him in the ring and he can get it done with anyone. You'll see Jacob get it done with luchadors. You'll see him get it done with big hosses. You'll see him get it done with cruiserweights. You'll see him get it done in hardcore. You'll see him get it done technically. I mean, he can go with the best of them. And that's really what it's all about. And he never compromises his style. It's just like that singer, just like that guitarist. You always know it's Jacob Fatu. If you put him in a mask and a bodysuit, you know that was Jacob Fatu in that mask and bodysuit. So he is a once in a lifetime performer in my eyes. And I think the eyes of a lot of people. And the term generational talent and this and that, and those things get thrown around as much as icon and legend and all that stuff, but Jacob Fatu is special. So Jacob Fatu, I hate the word deserved because I don't think any of us deserve anything, but Jacob Fatu, his talent needs to be seen on a global scale. I think for the good of professional wrestling. I don't think anybody's as explosive. I don't think anybody's as precise. I don't think he even understands how good he is. I know Jim Cornette's made mention of, he did a moonsault and the guy was in the wrong position and Jacob adjusted in midair. I mean, I've been ringside for that. I've seen it as his manager ringside. I've seen it as his tag team partner. I've seen him do things and I've called it back and he'd go, oh yeah, like it's just so natural. And he can talk, and that's the other thing is like typically the Samoan wrestlers, with exception obviously of The Rock, typically Samoan wrestlers have never been the greatest guys on the microphone. Not that they've been bad, but they've never been like, he can talk, so Jacob really pulls you in. Again, I can make this, 2 hours on how much I think he's wonderful and how great he is. You've seen me book him. As soon as I saw Jacob and met Jacob, he's never not been on a PCW show. He's never not been involved in everything I've done. And that's just because I love and respect him so much. He's a brother to me. He's a one of my best friends. He's somebody that I feel like a student teacher kind of relationship in ways, like an uncle to him in certain ways. And then as a buddy, it's like I've got a really complex relationship with Jacob, and as a colleague and business partners, but he deserves, even though I hate that word, he deserves to be on TV. He's just phenomenal.
I absolutely agree with that. Now, I've seen Jacob Fatu doing crazy stuff. I remember watching him doing a moonsault from the top of a steel cage. I believe that was at Set in Stone against Hammerstone itself. Incredible, incredible performance from Jacob Fatu every single time we see him, especially
He
at
can do
PCW.
anything. It's
He
crazy.
can do anything. It
Anything.
is crazy
If he
indeed.
told me, "Ooh, so I'm going to do that," I'd go, "Of course you will." I would never doubt him. I would say, "Of course you're going to do that," because he's just that good.
Since you believe in him so strongly and you're such a good friend of his, I honestly myself would love to see you if he were to go to the WWE or anywhere on TV. I would love to see you with him, maybe being his manager, supporting him. Would you be open to such an opportunity? Would you be open to managing him on TV? Let it be WWE or AEW, anywhere.
I would, and I'm very flattered that you would think that and say that, and I feel like the package of me as his manager
Yes.
outside works really, really well.
Yes.
If it was something where the schedule was a little relaxed, so I'm saying I don't think WWE would be my cup of tea. I just, I to be 100% honest, I enjoy my life. I love traveling with my wife. I love being at home, and I love family. So I wouldn't want to be on the road at this age, no matter what money
Of course.
I'm
Yes.
there's
Yes.
different values in life to me. Um,
Yeah.
but something like on the independent scene, or something in the AEW, or the AEW in AEW,
Mhm.
something like that seems manageable. Pardon the pun. So yeah, something like that I would definitely consider. I don't think he needs me. I think that I enhance the package, because
Yep.
I always come correct. I always come professional.
Yes.
So yeah, I would definitely consider that, if it was something that was impeding something organically for him. I have no problem stepping aside. It's not a big deal to me. I'm only concerned with him doing well and him getting what I feel he's earned. There is a small window that our body works in this business, and I am on the I am in the winter of that window, and I just want to make sure that there's a season for him that is a high dollar season, that he can be comfortable for the rest of his life and his family can be comfortable. And that is my main concern for him. I hope he signs somewhere and gets a very lucrative deal. And if I'm able to be along for the ride and it works out for me in my life, then I'd be 100% open to that.
Jacob is very lucky to have a friend like you. Very, very lucky. It's incredible.
And likewise, vice versa, as they say.
Love that. Love that. Well, if he goes to WWE or AEW or not, time will tell. Because right now, as we said, he's a current PCW Ultra weight champion, as well as the PCW Ultra tag team champion. And PCW Ultra is on a roll. As you said, PCW Ultra, October is going to be a very busy month. You've got, of course, history to make at the Rose Bowl. And you've also got Urban Con, of course, the stuff that you're doing with Defy. And, of course, October 28th, you're bringing to the fans PCW Ultra Creature Feature, featuring some of the greatest talent currently in the independent scene, from Brookside, Viva Van. You've got Sin Bodhi, Jack Cartwheel, Power and Privilege, which are PCW Ultra stars from the very beginning. We got Daniel Kamela and more, and of course, the War Beast. That's a solid show right there. What a way to end October with Creature Feature.
Yeah, that's going to be crazy. So we have not been War Beast has not wrestled in a year, and that's been
Yes.
Specifically because Jacob Fatu's had an ultra heavyweight run, and I've been on the outside managing Jacob against some of the top competitors in the world, like Psycho Clown and Black Taurus, and all these other incredible Moose. All these incredible performers, and so I'm coming back. It might be
Yes.
one night only. It might be the final one. It might be, we might open the can of worms again. Who knows? But one person that you didn't mention that I want the world to focus on, and that's Samaya. And Samael is a new competitor that came up through our sister company, PCW and PCW they have a training school in Arizona, and it's run by Dom Vitale. And Dom Vitale's been my right-hand man on so many pieces of business for so many years. And for a long time, Dom's been running this school. And Dom has produced Power and Privilege. He's produced Zamaya. He's produced Kevin Koa. He's produced Grizz Brody, and much, much more. And he's just doing a phenomenal job. And Zamaya is a superstar. And a lot of people like to say, hey, you know, Sheik's got a real good eye for talent.
That's true.
I'm telling you, Zamaya is going to be a superstar. This girl has everything. She is, I want everybody to keep an eye on her. Her name is Zamaya, Zamyaya. Is that it? Hold on, let me see. I might have spelt that wrong.
Is that Zamaya? That's right.
Zamaya. Okay,
that's right.
Zamaya, and she kind of looks like Bull Mikado. And she just wrestles in such a fierce and vicious way. And also from that school, Power and Privilege, again, in Grizz and Koa. But these guys and gals are just so good. And they're being trained the proper way. So keep your eye out, though, for Zamaya. She's a little bit extra. She's a little bit extra. And she's going to be a big star in this business.
Got a feeling that Viva Van's almost 500-day-long PCW Ultra Women's Championship reign is going to be coming to an end very soon if Zamaya sticks around.
Viva Van is she's been really you know we're seeing Viva as the veteran now, you know, so Viva, I remember, would be the valet for War Beast, and Viva was our merch girl, you know, and I've seen Viva just come up through the rankings. Somebody was saying the other day, and Viva mentioned, she said, you know, I was your merch girl for 2 years before you let me wrestle. And that's a testament to me being horrible at making people pay so much dues. But you look at Viva Van now and you say, well, hey, maybe that paid off. You know, maybe there's some method. There's some method to the madness. Zamaya was the ticket lady, Amy. Zamaya was her second hand for the longest time. She was in that lobby, you know, selling tickets, getting fans through the door for a long time. So you know, these wrestlers are being put through the paces in a way where they see the business from the fans' perspective. They see it from the merchandising perspective. They see it from the usher perspective, from getting fans in the door at the right time. So they get to understand what we're actually doing. It's not just like, oh, I get to do my wrestling. I'll be there at whatever time. I'll show up, do my match, and leave. No, they're invested in the setup, the teardown, getting the rest of the people through the door. They're on parking. They're valeting cars. They're doing all types of things that they get to see the wrestling business from a unique perspective. And that's the way I was broken in. So if you look at me 26 years later, well, I'm a flight agent. I'm a wrestling agent. I'm a graphic artist. I'm a event coordinator. I can do a camera. I can on and on and on and on, from booking to agent. So you start to acquire this large tool bag full of tools. And then what happens when you're like me and you're at the winter of your wrestling and you can't do it anymore? Well, I can stay in the wrestling business for the rest of my life. I can do anything for any company. I can start on merch. I can start on promoting. I can do anything for anyone. So being valuable in this business beyond the tool that is your body is a wonderful way to stay in this business, because so many wrestlers get chewed up and spit out, and you have so many people that are gonna be stars, and then they break a hip or they break a neck and they can't wrestle anymore. And then what happens? They get depressed. They're out of the business. So there's ways to stay in this business. You got to keep your eyes open. You got to keep your mouth shut. You got to work hard and learn everything. If you want to be top banana, you got to start at the bottom of the bunch, and work your way to the top.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I absolutely love that. And my only advice to anybody who's going to be going to one of the PCW Ultra shows in October is that, right from the parking lot till you get to the venue, make sure to take a photograph with the ticket lady, with the popcorn lady, with the merchandise guy, because you never know. You might be taking a picture and an autograph from a future legend, from a future star.
Yeah, it's 100% true. Yeah.
Make sure to get your pictures. You might be getting $1 million picture right there. I love that, Joseph. My mind truly is blown away right now. My heart is so full of happiness, of joy, because really what you just said brings me so much joy. And it really goes on to show what a great guy you are, what a great promoter you are. It's incredible. And, you said that you're horrible for making people wait so long and do their dues. But I've got to say, when you talk about your people, your wrestlers, I can see the smile in your face and the glow in your eyes. You are truly happy for them and to see them succeed. And that is a quality that every single promoter should have. And you obviously are a great promoter, really. Everybody associated with you and PCW Ultra is fortunate. Incredible. Now, fans, for tickets for all the October shows, make sure to go to PCWUltra.com. That is where you can get all the tickets for all the shows. Incredible, Joseph. I mean, time flies. I've got to tell you, it's been over an hour, and I feel like we're just getting started. Before I let you go, sir, I have 2 hand-picked questions brought to you by the wrestling news fans only for you. You ready?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay, so the first question actually comes from a fan from Palmdale, California, and they are asking you, which of the recently released WWE stars would you like to bring to PCW Ultra in the future?
Well, I mean, obviously the two would be Dolph Ziggler and Shelton Benjamin. Those guys are phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, I would love to bring either one of those guys. That'd be a wonderful surprise for the fans for sure. Maybe against Jacob Fatu.
That's right. Has a phone call
been made? Dolph Ziggler versus Jacob Fatu.
I know, right? I've got a feeling that you're going to be picking up the phone right after this interview, and you're going to be making that call. I like that. It's incredible. Yeah, that would be a heck of a match.
Yeah,
absolutely. Now, the second question actually
for free on Remix.
That's right, on Remix for free. I mean, what a treat for the fans. I mean, incredible. Now, second question comes from a fan from Rock Island, Illinois, and they say, Joseph, do you plan on bringing PCW Ultra to cable one day?
It's funny you say that. Not to cable, but because that's kind of archaic, right? But definitely it would be available everywhere in the very near future.
That raises my eyebrow. I wonder how. That's interesting. You're leaving us on a high note here, I see. Okay.
All right. Well, if it doesn't happen, I don't want egg on my face, but it'll happen.
That's incredible, Joseph. That'll definitely happen. Very eagerly looking forward to that now. Now, I've saved the best question for last, actually. Now, we have all heard that PCW Ultra, with all the history that it's making, it's also transitioning to a new sort of a name from PCW Ultra. It's slowly going to Ultra. Now, we know PCW Ultra, PCW stands for Pacific Coast Wrestling. Does the transition to Ultra also mean that the promotion is now moving out of Pacific Coast, maybe more of a national promotion rather than just Pacific promotion in the future?
Well, so so when I was a hired gun to come into PCW Ultra, or to come into PCW, and I was on salary when I first came into the company, and then the other guys, one of them left immediately, and then the other one left in the pandemic. When PCW became PCW Ultra, it was basically the Ultra was me. I injected that into the name. So Ultra is me. PCW is the way the company started, and I never quite liked the regional name. I thought it was very it had us in handcuffs a bit, where we couldn't go anywhere else. And I really never called it Pacific Coast Wrestling. In fact, a lot of our fans would go, "What does PCW mean?" So I've been trying to get the Ultra on its own over. Now, all of our socials and everything will always stay PCW Ultra, our branding as far as our trademarks and this and that and everything,
Sure.
and our company and all. But, being Ultra on the website, being Ultra on the posters, and seeing it next to Defy, Ultra, Defy.
That's right. Makes
Enjoy. And it just seems, and I'm not somebody that likes to go with the crowd or go with it. It just seems easier as far as explaining when you're a collective. So yeah, I mean, the short answer is we're going to keep PCW Ultra business wise. We're going to present as Ultra, just like HBO would present as Max.
That's right.
But and we are definitely have our eyes set on the global market, the national market at the very least. You can find us everywhere. We're just hoping to gain an audience in small pockets to where we can follow that up by chasing that fan base with a live event. So, it's really difficult. There's a lot of noise at the same time in this industry. The hard part about this industry is if you do something huge like the Rose Bowl, as soon as it's done, right? It's a what have you done for me lately business. So the trying to keep up that sort of a thing could be maddening and very difficult. So you look at these things like the Rose Bowl and you try to gain as much notoriety from them, and you try to have them live as long as they can with premiering them on Remix and oh hey, remember when we did this, and maybe putting some things out to keep that fire as long as you can. But ultimately it's going to die out. But you don't want to be trying. I mean, it would be nice to get these bought shows every single month and wrestle in the biggest arenas in the world and doing a bit, but it's not probable. So I don't know. Again, I'm all over the place answering 50 million billion questions that you didn't ask. But yeah, I'm just passionate about the product. I'm passionate about the wrestlers. I'm passionate about the business. I'm not passionate about the scene and how certain people expect you to be. That's why I kind of like to promote to the casual fan. I want to promote to people that are excited to see us. I don't want to promote to a fan base that is putting us against something that they love. And if we're not like that, we're not good enough.
Right. Very well said.
We've got our own brand. Our brand is the old school meets the new. And, and that's what we do. And we try to promote it with great wrestlers, great artwork, great fan experience, wonderful partnerships, and high-profile shows. And we're doing a great job right now. And October's looking wonderful. Let's work on November.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that you will get the job done. October Rose Bowl, it's not going to die down because you're going to do greater and greater things as time goes on. I know it. PCW Ultra, I mean, I'm in India. I already consume the content. I love it. It's going to be more easily accessible and available to the world. And I'm excited about the future of PCW Ultra and Remix. Well, Joseph, you are incredible. And very excited about October and the future once again. I would like to thank you so much for your time today. I mean, it's been a long interview, but wow, I really enjoyed every second of it. So thank you very much for being here. Cannot wait for you to come back here where you would have, achieved even greater things than the Rose Bowl. And PCW Ultra is going to be, I'm pretty sure, a global phenomena. Thank you once again, Joseph, so much for your time.
Thank you, AJ. See you for part 3.
Absolutely. Part 3 soon to come. Thank you very much, Joseph. Thank you.